My husband's father passed away recently. He grew up on a large farm in Kansas and him and his mother inherited the farm. My husband, John, 24 meters, and I, 21F, met while he was living in New Orleans, attending Tulane on athletic scholarship, and I was working as a waitress. We fell in love, and he proposed quickly. We married a few months ago, and I'm currently 3 months pregnant. We've been living in Nala, but since his father's passing, his mother needs help with the farm and he suggested we move there, and it will be better for the child to be raised on the farm anyway. I didn't really want to do that, but I agreed as I knew how much it meant to him. When we got there, I was surprised how big and isolated the farm was. My husband and I share one car and his mother has another. I asked to take the car the other day to go to town to look for jobs, but he sat me down and told me it wouldn't be very practical for me to have a job ATM because we only have 2 cars for 3 people and they can't spare one for me to take for 8 hours a day and they can't drive me to and from work when there's so much to be done on the farm. I wasn't very happy about that, but it made sense. So I looked for some jobs online, and when we were eating dinner, I started the subject again, saying that I think I will look for some work from home jobs, but I will need stable internet connection, and asked if there's any way we can change providers, as it's a bit slow. He told me all work from home jobs are scam, and he doesn't want me falling into a trap, and that he needs the laptop available at all times to communicate with his customers. I was devastated, but didn't want to argue, and I understand that his work is currently supporting us all, including his mother. We had a small family gathering, and his sister and Sil asked me why I didn't want to be SAHM. I explained them everything, and they told me I should think of my family first, that all kids in this family are raised by SAHM, and I should just go with it and everyone will be happier. I said that I would get bored and I need a job to help supporting us, but they kept telling me that I should listen to my husband. When everyone left, John came to our bedroom and we had our first massive argument. He told me I embarrassed him in front of his family. He told me he can't believe how heartless I'm being and that I clearly don't care enough for our baby to stay home and raise him. He called me an asshole and told me it's best if I slept in guest room for a few nights. He hasn't spoken to me since and his mother told me I hurt him and all of them by refusing to carry on family tradition of being a SAHM and that I'm bringing shame to him, showing that he can't support his family. And I'm torn. I thought I knew what I wanted but everyone is telling me otherwise and my head is a mess. Am I really the asshole for wanting to find a job? Is it really that wrong of me? I thought I was right but now I'm doubting myself. NTA. This is how abusive relationships start. He has already managed to isolate you from friends and family. He is now getting his family against you and trying to make you financially dependent on him. Pack your bags, go back to Nala and file for divorce. She needs to get it done before the child is classed as resident in Kansas, because OP doesn't want to get stuck living in Kansas because of custody. NTA. These are here only because your husband's controlling behavior. 1. You met and married quickly, and you're already pregnant. How long did you actually date and get to know him before moving to marriage? 2. You're isolated from your home state and town. You aren't allowed to take a car for work or travel. 3. He's refusing for you to work from home, limiting your communication. 4. He's upset at you for stating your unhappiness at the situation, making you sleep in the guest room like you did something wrong. He's showing his true colors. Please consider this marriage and your future. If your husband thinks it's the 50s and you have zero say on how you live your life. The not being able to use the computer is crazy, just crazy. NTA. It is a good thing you found out about this now. Best recommendation is to move back to Nala. It seems your husband is showing his true colors by being controlling and denying you your happiness. It's time to go back home and think things through. OP, you didn't sign up for forced isolation. A loving spouse would work to meet your needs of connection and fulfillment. Your husband has removed you from your social supports and rebuffed every attempt to create new ones to force you into compliance, higher level of control, and setting you up for financial abuse. Go back to Nala if you have support, friends and family. It's a healthier environment to raise a kid with a mother who is safe. NTA. He lied about everything. He is not the man you thought he was. His plan all along was to trap you in a marriage and with children so he can isolate you and abuse you. First was the love bombing, moving way too fast, the biggest indicator of further abuse. Then you became dependent on him, isolated from friends and family, and surrounded by his family who does his bidding. Then financial abuse, making sure you are completely dependent on him by not being able to work. Then the silent treatment, which is a form of abuse, and won't stop until you give in. But it will escalate. First to verbal abuse. You need to run, ask family and friends for help, or make money, pretend everything is okay, and make a plan to run, without telling him first. You are not trapped, you have choices. The first step is accepting he is not the person you thought. Please post in r/abusive relationships, where they can help with more resources, perhaps pertinent to your area. Yay, there's no reason she can't take a car, except they want to trap her. NTA, and I'm scared for you. Leave while you can. This is screaming isolation tactics. NTA. You need to leave. You need to call a family member, a friend, a domestic violence shelter, and you need to get you and your baby off that farm, and you need to refuse to go back. This is not a safe situation for you. You have no form of transportation. You have no form of income. You do not have reliable internet. You now need to provide for you and your child. You know no one, except his family there. You are at such high risk right now. Please call one of the above and get help to get out. When they look at relationships where one partner has become abusive, and particularly at family and our later cases, one of the most common factors is that they rush their partner into marriage. You've been rushed into marriage, had the burden of a child added to what you have to consider, and completely cut off from your family and much of the outside world. I know this sub often leaps to abuse and divorce, but this is a lot of alarmingly bad circumstances. Get out of the house now. Go to Nala. Then once you are off his turf, if you want to discuss it with him, have that discussion. If you want to divorce him, go for it. But I would caution you to make sure you are not trapped at that farm in the moment you discuss separating, since he could prevent you from leaving. This is giving off massive sleeping with the enemy vibes. NTA. I'm actually kinda worried for you. I would leave and talk to a lawyer. IDK if you have family, but I would call and talk to them as well. My husband will be a SAHH for our kid cause I work from home, making 6 figures. He is full of it. Teleworking jobs aren't scams, and we realized all his paycheck would go to childcare. I would never ever tell him he must stay home for that reason though. We both made the choice as partners. If your husband isn't going to treat you like a partner, run. And bringing shame. They are Kansas farmers, not characters in Mulan. Edit. Deleted city. You need to leave as soon as possible. They are trying to trap you. NTA. NTA. You are being isolated and controlled. You need to rethink this relationship. I came here to say this exactly. NTA. This relationship needs a big rethink. Because he and his family have pretty much ambushed and Baba trapped you. And if you don't have a serious think and a hard conversation, then you are going to be completely stuck once your baby arrives. If this is the life he wants, which the fact he has moved you to an isolated farm and is using every trick in the book to keep you there heavily implies it is, then you may just have to accept that he isn't the one for you. Now, that would have been better learned before you got pregnant, but you didn't know each other that long, and it's probable he hid it from you on purpose. But if you are going to leave, you need to do so before you have the baby. Plus he can't drive her to work because he needs to be at the farm working, but he can't let her take the car because he will need it. He won't be driving the car if he's working on the farm all day, which is it. Plus he needs the laptop to talk to customers. Does he not have a phone? This is definitely a control issue. NTA. NTA. I would reconsider everything if I were you. This smells of potential financial abuse. Sounds like he's trying to trap you in an isolated place, isolate you from any access to the outside, and have you be completely financially dependent on him. Agreed. There's so much coercion happening here that it makes me wonder what the rest of the relationship looks like. This whole thing is saying run away as fast as you can. Op should call a friend to come pick her up and help her move while it's still relatively easy to start over. NTA. You married your husband, not his family traditions. Traveling your own path isn't disrespecting anyone. If you can find a job that works around his schedule, or with slight overlap, the car issue wouldn't even be an issue. If it's an active farm, you might find you'll be too busy, but if you're not, and working is what makes you happy, I think you should. And it certainly doesn't mean that you don't love your son. That insinuation has me raging, honestly. Op, you're being trained to be submissive and compliant. You need to get out of this situation. They have you isolated from your friends and family, and society as a whole. You are being denied any way of transporting yourself. You are being denied access to employment, and therefore your own financial safety. You are pregnant and vulnerable and far from home. You're being told what you are allowed to do. The proposal was fast. The marriage was fast. The pregnancy was fast. Those are some big bad signs, and along with your life now, they all point to you being tricked into this. NTA, but leave, now, before the baby is born. Be away from them, before you give birth. This is exactly why getting married fast, while you're very young, is such a bad idea, but now Op knows, and at least she hasn't had the baby. All work from home jobs are a scam. I wonder how I'm supporting myself then anyway. What everyone else is saying is correct. He's trying to control you and this is incredibly abusive. Leave him. As he's working from home, since he lives on the farm he works on and contacts clients by the same computer work at home businesses use. NTA. I'm a stay-at-home mom, and it is 1000% both of our decision. Not his decision for me. He doesn't benefit at the expense of my dreams. We work together to make both of our dreams come true. The arguments and pressure and guilt to stay home has me honestly terrified for you. And he relegated you to the guest bed for disagreeing? Nope. The marital bed is for both of you. Typically the person who wants space in a fight takes the guest bed. No one sends anyone anywhere when it's an equal partnership. You are a full, individual human being who gets to decide things for yourself. You get to have your own dreams and aspirations for yourself. You get to sleep in your own bed. You get to decide to work and where you work. If he withholds finances or a vehicle until you obey him, that's financial abuse. Him not allowing you to work is financial abuse. Him controlling or taking your paycheck once you get a job is financial abuse. Him forcing you to work on the family farm for no pay is also financial abuse. NTA. This is something he should have mentioned prior to marriage, as it affects both of you. Had you known that this was the future he saw for his family, you might have made a different choice. You need to take some time to determine if it is a deal breaker for you. I knew the post would have some kind of deal breaker issue when I saw how quick they got married and pregnant. Woman lived less than 3 years of adulthood and she's already married and pregnant. NTA. There is nothing wrong with being a SAHM if that is what you want. It's pretty clear it is not what you want. You get one life, don't live it to avoid embarrassing someone or to carry out someone's tradition. Explain to him that your happiness matters and you need to work. So how, as a family, are you going to make that work? NTA. Being financially independent and not having huge time spans of unemployment will make it a lot easier to feel secure. NTA. Huge red flags here. He has trapped you in an isolated situation. He has made it impossible for you to leave the house. You state it's our car. If that's the case you should be using it to get to work. Why do they need 2 cars, but you get none? I honestly think you should contact your family or friends to come and get you. If the car is yours, take it and go. If you don't, you will be trapped on this farm forever. Why do they need 2 cars, but you get none? Why do they need 2 cars? Asterisk asterisk WHEN. They both work on the farm, but you get none. Element missing. NTA. Run girl RUN. He's taken you from your city and isolated you at a small farm in the middle of nowhere and now wants you to give up financial independence. Now he's using his family to guilt you into something you don't want. Run. Go back to Nala right now. You're too young and you married this guy too fast. He's isolating you and his family is helping. Get out now. BTW. Being raised on a farm isn't that great for kids anyway. We only have 2 cars for 3 people and they can't spare one for me to take for 8 hours a day. Op, most of your husband has told you are lies, in particular the line above, even though it sounds reasonable. If your mill and husband are at home and working on the farm all day or taking care of the house, they are not going out every day and don't need both CARS ***. NTA ***. I grew up on a farm, not necessarily isolated, but far enough from town that you needed a vehicle. My parents only had 1 car and were able to manage for years, although I remember dad turning up in the cattle truck a couple of times to collect us. In fact, if your husband has a farm truck then there are 3 vehicles. You read my mind. I grew up on a farm and we're a couple of farm trucks and town vehicles. Something doesn't sound right with only 2 vehicles. Please look out for yourself, NTA. But your husband is. It looks like you did not talk about your life after marriage and children. Looks to me like he wants something completely different than you and is no gaslighting you into his and his family's belief system of SAHM. You need to address this head on, or else he will start making all of your decisions for you.